I love you. I bless you. I truly appreciate you. I behold the Christ in you. See how pretty and simple? We're going to sing I Love You again. I love you. I love you. I truly appreciate you. I behold. Look at someone near you and say this to you. The Christ in you. We're going to sing everybody. We love you. Absolutely. We love you. We love you. We truly appreciate you. We behold the Christ in you. That changes up a little bit. I love me. Let's change that. I love me. Say, I love me. I love me. I truly appreciate me. I truly appreciate me. I behold the Christ in me. I think we all need that. Let's do that one more time. I love me. It feels good, doesn't it? I love me. I love me. I truly appreciate me. I behold the Christ in me. Take a deep breath and remember that you may have a seat. Got to stop the right thing to do.
I'd like to ask a prayer chaplain to bring the prayer box forward, please. This is our prayer box. It usually sits in the back right of the building there. At any time you have something on your mind, you wish for us, the congregation in Unity Village, Silent Unity, to lift your prayers, you can write them down on a piece of paper and fold them up or put them in here. Or just hold them in your heart. It can be spoken or unspoken. Spirit, we know that you know our needs before we even know our needs ourselves. It is in this spirit that we give gratitude. Gratitude that we have prayer and that we have each other in unity. And so it is. Amen. Yeah. Now David will read the daily word for us.
Today's daily word is my story. I mentor others by sharing spiritual lessons that I have learned. 12-step recovery programs have long recognized the healing power of sharing our stories. I have learned that my stories are not simply my own. They are meant to be unique contributions to the realization of the new state of consciousness that Jesus describes as the kingdom of heaven. An adage from recovery program shares, "We are only as sick as our secrets. Whatever I am afraid to share becomes a dangerous darkness within me. I don't need to share everything with everyone I meet, but I do need to be willing to share freely as I am guided by Spirit. I see myself through divine perception as a spiritual victor and overcomer, not as a victim of life's circumstances. Telling my story is a powerful way to share the spiritual lessons that I have learned." From John 1:1, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God."
Thank you, David. And now, if you would prepare to say with me our Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
So breathe deeper. Go deeper. Letting go. Letting go. Relaxing your mind. Just gently saying to your mind, "Oh, slow down. Slow down." And as our mind slows, we allow ourselves to move into that awareness. The awareness of the truth that I am. I am that divine spirit. I am. It is so easy to block that awareness. But it's also very easy just to let go, to allow, to invite. What does this awareness feel like to you? I am. Allow that divine energy. I am. In this moment, here, now, I am aware that I am wholeness. As I am aware of my wholeness, let me reach out to those that I care about who are not aware of their wholeness, and let me hold them in that awareness. We are one. We are connected. And as I know my wholeness, I know wholeness for you, and you know wholeness for me. We reach out to those who are in anger or despair or fear. and know wholeness. Wholeness, and wholeness encompasses love. Experience that love. That is the truth of who you are, of who I am. That is the truth of every being, that divine love. Let us know that. Let us know, experience joy. Feel that energy of joy rising up through us. This is the truth of who I am. I am joy. Wholeness, love, joy. With that awareness, let us move deeper into that world of oneness, that experience of oneness. Letting our personality just drift as we experience that divine within, in the silence, in the silence. Bringing yourself just to the edge of that silence. Let each of us know we are the transformers. We breathe in that energy that is all that is. And in that transformative God center that we as human beings have, we transform that energy, sending it out as the awareness of wholeness and love and joy. As you breathe in, imagine that process within you. That energy coming in, blending and transforming with that divine awareness that you are. Picture that. Picture that. And then see it radiating out specifically out to people that you love, to people that you care about, to strangers. see it radiating out, connecting first from within this room, and then out to everyone who is in that place of awareness of divine love, of practice of divine love, of experience of divine love. We are a radiating center of divine light, divine love, divine joy, divine wholeness. We know this, and we say thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Divine light, love, joy. And how does that relate to what we're going to be thinking about today? How does that relate to our reality, to our experience? How does that relate to the conditions that are around us? Let's think about that as we go through this. So, over the last couple of weeks, I've used these words, reality and experience, in my talks, and then I've moved on. I've not really looked at that. And part of the reason was, as I had a small piece of the talk that I thought, it expanded into a whole talk. But I kept out of those words, reality and experience, but I didn't know where to go with them. And so Tuesday morning, when I was in a fairly usual place for me, so my condition was, and we're going to talk about what that word means, my condition was needing a topic for today's lesson. And that is my reality, quite often. It won't be for next week. I already know what my topic's going to be for next week. And my words are, okay, Spirit, help me out here. And so I was reading a spirituality book, and it had, ways where it was leading me into being very meditative. And at some point in that, as I would read, and then I would get very contemplative, I just felt a real urge to get up and go check my email. Now, my thinking mind said, okay, you're waiting for a message from somebody for something that was going to happen either that day or later in the week. And there was this urge, go do that. And so when I went to the computer and I was checking my email, and I was just scanning down to see if that message was there, and I came across a message from Dean. And Dean had sent me a connection to what?
Prayer of the Heart.
But what's the website?
Oh, Truth Unity.
Truth Unity. And so I went specifically because he had mentioned this prayer of the heart. And so I went there and I thought, oh, well, let me just look at this page a little bit. And I scrolled down, and a topic from somebody else caught my attention. And it was this article, the guy's name is Aaron McCoy. And it directly related to what I wanted to do about this whole idea of reality and experience. So think about that thread. Okay, here's the situation, need to talk, here's the request, help me out. And then what's the next step? As I'm going about my business, I wasn't doing the spiritual reading and meditating because, okay, I'm sitting here waiting for a word from God to give my topic. No, I'm just doing what I'm doing. My cup of coffee is there. But having that sense, okay, let me go check my email, and coming across this very perfect article. So I want us to really, we're about practicality and about your life moving in a way that is joyful or moves smoothly. Not all things that we're doing kind of come under the idea of joy, but okay, the resources are there, and they come to me pretty easily. So as I've been thinking about these words, so the ideas, so we hear this all the time, we create our own reality, we create our own experience. Well, is there a difference between reality and experience? Sometimes. Sometimes they get pretty confused in there. If they're different, how are they different? And are they always different? Or, it wasn't very helpful for me to think about that. How am I going to talk about that when I can't even get it clear in my own mind? So what McCoy did in his article was introduce the word condition. The word condition. So the condition means what is physically happening in the moment. And so what was physically happening in the moment for me, what the condition was, I need a topic for my Sunday talk. So I'm going to tell you a little story here from one of my favorite writers. Anybody know Elizabeth Gilbert? Eat, Pray, Love, and then she's written several other books, and she writes magazine articles, and here's one. And this kind of gives an example, again, a very simple example of the differences between some of these things. My beloved Grandma Nini died, and a few months after her funeral, her 3 adult children, my aunt, my uncle, my father, gathered in their childhood home to see about their mother's belongings. They were all feeling especially tender-hearted and unguarded. So now we've got 3 mature adults here sitting around the table. At one point, they were all seated around the old kitchen table, eating sandwiches and talking about the past. My uncle, the baby of the family, looked at the refrigerator and said, "I can still see Mom standing there pouring me a glass of milk. Do you remember that sweet thing she always used to do whenever she got us a glass of milk?" So that's the physical world condition. Mom standing in the refrigerator getting a glass of milk for the kids. Remember how she'd take a tiny sip first to make sure it wasn't spoiled. That was his reality. Always looking out for us. That was his experience. My father, the analytical engineer of the family, said, "No, you are so wrong. Mom wasn't sipping our milk to test it for freshness. She was sipping our milk because she always overfilled the glass. She had no sense of spatial relations." That was his reality. "It used to drive me crazy." That was his experience. Remember, same condition, Mom standing at the refrigerator pouring the milk. My brilliant, sardonic aunt looked at her 2 brothers as if they were the biggest idiots she had ever seen. "You are both wrong," she said, her experience. "Mom was stealing our damn milk." Her reality. I realize this is a true story, and some of you can probably really relate to this, sitting around with a group of people, and quite often family members, and hearing a very different response to something that happened. You know, what was the truth? You know, what would Mom say if she could tell you what was in her mind doing that? We don't know. And does it make any difference? Everybody had their own experience in this process. Same condition, but different experiences, different realities. Now, this is a really common phenomena, and people in law enforcement and things who, you know, you have to get eyewitness descriptions for what's happening. I mean, I'm sure that many of you have read about this and taken psychology, and you've certainly heard this, that here is a situation that seems very cut and dry. There was an accident, this happened, whatever, and now they start asking the people around what happened. You wouldn't know it was the same accident by the time they get done. And to check this out, because, you know, surely this can't really be real. There's something the matter with the people standing around here. You know, they've done many classroom experiments now at all levels of law enforcement and military. So here's people sitting in a class. Something violent happens, and I can't remember whether they know that something is going to happen or whether it's just happens. Something violent happens, you know, somebody comes in, gets the situation under control, takes them out, and then interviews each class member. Now this is in a controlled condition where they know the people. They know there's nothing wrong with these people. And exactly the same situation. Everybody saw it from a different way, remembered or did not remember that process. you know? And aren't you always absolutely sure that what you observed, and whatever it is absolutely correct? I don't know about you. Probably some of you have been around me enough to know, and I will just get at it. This is the way it is, you know? Really? Well, for me, yeah, that was my experience about that condition. That was my reality about that condition. But it may not have had any connection to what yours was. So the third basic unity principle states this. Now here's the long version. Do we still have these in our bulletin? You might have these down. But there are several different versions, and I've got two here. So this is the long one. Human beings create their experiences by the activity of their thinking. Everything in the manifest realm has its beginning in thought. Our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs have the power to create our reality. So experience is reality. We create not just as individuals, but as groups. We are all connected in the one mind. We cannot always know the larger meaning of our circumstances at the time we experience them. What may seem to be a terrible event may turn out to be the catalyst for our highest possible good. By using our free will, we always have the choice to experience good. Listen to those words, reality and experience. Now here's a much simpler version. This is the one that's easier to remember. I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. Think, feel, and believe. So what this principle does not say, it doesn't say we create our conditions by the activity of our thinking. It doesn't say we create the tornado, the wildfire, the horrific accident, the loss. Now that said, we do participate in personal creative process, so that's not an absolute, but when we're looking at some of these major things and we're saying, you know, how could I ever even begin to think about, no, there are conditions. So this principle is really saying that we create our experiences by our thinking. When I ask, why did God allow someone to get cancer, I am really asking about the physical world of conditions. So, you know, we talk about metaphysical malpractice when somebody has something going on to say, well, what were you thinking that brought that on? You know, I mean, that's terrible. And there are many people out there with the best will in the world because they think, well, if you thought it and brought this on you, just change your thinking. You know, but that's really not appropriate. I mean, conditions, all kinds of conditions happen. But here's our appropriate question. How can God, Divine Spirit, transform this tragedy into good? Then I am asking about the mental and emotional world of experience. So here's the condition out here. So instead of asking God why that happened, how can I transform this within my own experience? And if I transform it within my own experience, I may be able to transform things out there, you know, in other people's. We're watching, as we speak, a horrific tragedy being transformed into a major movement. When we think about what those students down there from the Florida school are doing, how they're speaking their voice, it doesn't take away that there was this awful tragedy. There was a condition that they are using, they're making use of that to speak their truth, to create an experience and a reality out there. So when we think about that process, how can we do that? The world of experience is how we've learned to respond to the world of condition. So how many times do we respond simply out of habit? This is how I grew up, knowing when this happens, this is what you do. You know, can I learn to respond in a different way? Can I learn to respond from this process of understanding there's one presence and one power, and I am that power, and how can I come into this condition, how can I approach this condition in a creative and transformative way? Now we're looking at really big things out here, but I started with really little things. You know, I started with something that comes up for me regularly. Well, we all have those things. It's understanding how can I transform this condition into a wonderful experience for me. How many people just get really upset because of the weather? Oh, I had an expectation, I had a plan. Oh, it's raining. Oh, well, it's my choice to feel that way. I can choose to say, oh yeah, that plan's not going to work. However, what can we do? What can, you know, how can I shift? How can I move? How can I do this without getting wound up in the fact that my expectation did not come about? So according to this principle, our world of experience is the kind of response that we make to conditions. How do I respond? I can respond and shift it to heavenly. I can respond and shift it to absolutely hellish. And I can begin by being captured in that hellish experience. And I can shift it. I can shift it. I'm not locked in to whichever way I go with that, because as soon as I'm aware of what I'm doing, I have that power to transform that experience from hellish to heavenly. What we create by our thinking is the quality. Thinking about the quality of our response. Are we coming from this perspective of one power, one presence? God omnipotent. Are we coming from this? And what does this mean in practicality? No condition and no tragedy, from the common cold or the not so common flu that everybody has been having, to really unspeakable evil, is outside the realm of spirit to be transformed into greater good. Now think about that. Anything can be transformed within our own selves and understanding into a greater good. And it doesn't happen in an instant. It happens in awareness. It happens when we become aware of how am I responding to this. And it doesn't happen when we catch ourselves and going, oh, how terrible, I'm creating my own hell here. No, it says, oh, I am creating my own hell. Oh, I have that source within me to shift this process. I open myself to willingness to be able to experience this in a different way. And what that different way is will be unique to you, unique to the situation. It can't be me saying, oh, well, if you really do this right, it doesn't matter, you will become full of love and joy. No, you may not. You may not. But you may become more open and accepting and saying, what is mine to do here in this moment? Is there something that is mine to do in this moment? Can I become aware that I can reach out, I can do something? What is mine to do in the moment may be sitting and holding the light for a situation. It may be actually getting on the phone and calling somebody or saying, I know there's going to be a need, I can take care of that, I can help with that. All of those things as we begin to open ourselves to say, I have the responsibility for my reality and experience in this condition. So, this brings us hope. Think about that. It doesn't matter how bad it is, there is hope because there is this power. And most of us, and we talk about this a lot, both on Sunday morning in our prayer, in our class, because we're really talking about prayer, and in our Wednesday class, because we're really talking about prayer, really getting into what is this power? What does it mean that I have all the power that is divine within me to transform myself and what is going on around me? Think about that, folks. That is both very exciting and pretty scary. However, are we willing to experiment with that? Are we willing to start with some of the small things that are going on around us? You know, for me, you know, when I say, okay, God, help me out here, I know what the response is going to be. I don't know how it's going to come, but I know, I've had years of experience now knowing that before, you know, it gets too late in the week, I'm going to have the topic. And sometimes I get the topic, and what I need is to, like this. Okay, I had a topic, I knew I wanted to talk about it, I didn't have what I needed to put it all together, and Spirit says, here, go check your email, it's there. You know, how does that voice come? How does it may come from within you, it may come on a billboard, it may come from a friend, you know, all of that processes. So we have hope. You know, and Jesus said, we are called not to ask why did this happen. How many of us get caught up in that, or at least our friends around us? Why did this happen? Why did it have to happen to my mother, to my child, to me? Why did this have to happen? But rather to ask, how can this be transformed for good? How can this be transformed? How can we heal? And what we are led to know is, how do we heal? We heal by knowing oneness. How can we empower? We empower by knowing the power. If I don't know the power within me, how can I empower you? But when I know the power within me, then I can lift you in that. How can we love? Well, I have to know the love that is within me to be able to do that. So Jesus never asked, why did Divine Source allow this child to die? Why is this person paralyzed? Why are my people, the Jews, oppressed by the Romans? Jesus healed, he empowered, he loved. And how did he do that? He did that because he knew that connection, that oneness, that he was that transformer of bringing all this divine energy into his divine center and sharing it out there. So this is our calling. Our calling. We are called to be that awareness, to be the transformers. So I found this quote that to me, it feels like it really fits in this situation. I hope that in this year to come, you make mistakes. Because if you are making mistakes, then you are making new things. Trying new things. Learning. Living. Pushing yourself. Changing yourself. Changing your world. You're doing things. You're doing things you've never done before. And more importantly, you are doing something. And that just really seemed to fit with this, our experience, our reality, as our transformation of conditions around us. So in closing, here's a couple of very simple thoughts by Myrtle Fillmore. You know, I love Myrtle. Everybody loves Myrtle because her thoughts are not wordy. I love Charles. He's got great principles, but Myrtle goes right to the heart of things. You do not have a problem except the one that is in your own mind, and you put it there. And then the words of a song that she created, just the first word, God is my all, I know no fear, because God and truth and love are here. So that's a radical and powerful statement for all of us. Is it true for you? Let's think about this. God is my all. I know no fear. What does that mean? I know no fear. Because God and truth and love. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a great message this morning. We're going to go ahead and stand and sing another song, When I Walk. It'll be so real easy again. You can move, it's okay.
Oh, and this fits beautifully.
Yeah. There we go. When I walk in the Spirit.
I walk in the Holy Spirit. When I walk, I walk in the Spirit. I walk in the Holy Spirit. When I walk,
See that when I walk again.
when I walk in the Spirit. I walk in the Holy Spirit. When I walk, I walk in the Spirit. I walk in the Holy Spirit. When I walk,
Next verse should be when I move.
when I move in the Spirit. I move in the Holy Spirit. When I move, when I move in the Spirit. I move in the Holy Spirit. When I move,
Next one should be pray. Here we go.
when I pray in the Spirit. I pray in the Holy Spirit. When I pray, when I pray in the Spirit. I pray in the Holy Spirit. When I pray,
Next one should be talk. When I talk.
I talk in the Spirit. I talk in the Holy Spirit. When I talk, when I talk in the Spirit. I talk in the Holy Spirit. When I talk,
Back to walk.
when I walk in the Spirit. I walk in the Holy Spirit. When I walk in the Spirit. I walk in the Holy Spirit. When I walk, when I walk, when I walk, when